7.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the ITU crew Star Trek Iskandar. I've just realised that if I put my dice like this, it says 69.
Nice.
Sex number. I did that and laughed, and then I thought I should tell everybody, not just the people I'm in the Zoom call with. I'll go live and tell the world.
Nice.
That's what Mike gets to introduce this time.
Good, keep going.
Pretty classic
If it is your first
intro
time
vibes.
here, welcome. The final part of our 14th story together as the Crash Crew and as SS Iskandar. Hold on, my microphone's doing weird shit.
Your face is doing weird shit.
Okay, mean. I'm just gonna do that. Okay, so yeah, it's our 14th game. 14th story rather. We've done hundreds upon hundreds of hours. So this is an odd time to hop in, but if you are here and it is your first time, welcome, one and all. For anyone who isn't new, you're still as welcome as ever. This is going to be the final part of what's this called? The Midst of Chaos. Yes, the Midst of Chaos. As ever, it is my duty and my right to tell you that the Midst of Chaos is I don't have it written down. There it is. An adaptation of the Star Trek Adventures living campaign Convoy SE-119 by Jim Johnson. And yeah, and last time when we saw this intrepid crew, literally intrepid crew, how about that? They were facing off against 3 unknown raider ships that were set about them.
3 unknown punks.
3 idiot punks that had set about them, had set about the civilian convoy led by the SS Coronis, had set about the supremely damaged Tovos led by Gul Sonnet Nido, and eventually set about the little runabout of which I can't remember the name right off the top of my head. It's there, the Alinda.
And it was a shuttle.
It was a shuttle, not runabout. Sorry. I had Lieutenant Commander Talandra and Lieutenant Zal in place. Technically, Lieutenant Junior Grade Zal. After the combat was done and 2 of these ships had been dispatched, one by its own intentions, as it tried to do a bit of a self-detonation against the shuttlecraft, and one just simply obliterated by the, I think Iskandar disabled it. I don't remember, but it was disabled, and the last remaining one was successfully hailed, and they decided to peace out. They'd had enough, so they left. Key discoveries during that battle were that these ships have some kind of array built on their very hulls, which allows them to seemingly safely traverse the constant storms of the Hackett's Expanse, but also have seemed to have some capacity to weaponize the electromagnetic eddies, being responsible for the one that struck down the Tovos out of warp. Speaking of which, the situation on the Tovos isn't great. Having had briefly detained Ensign Adam Strange. It's so hard.
I can't cope with the
They're just the same boy.
Ensign, it's that swapping ranks has really fucked with our capacity to tell them apart.
We were already struggling with the surnames anyway.
But
we had one ensign for 3 years, and then we changed it, and I don't know why.
If we go to Sad Boy, you start to say Lieutenant, and then you think Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Ensign Strange only did this to fuck with Casey. It was his breakup. Fuck you.
No. He's not done it to fuck with Casey. He's done it to fuck with everybody else.
I mean, no, they didn't technically break up, but like they last spoke some months ago, and it was desperately awkward.
They're having space. They're on a break.
They're on a break
in space.
Space break. Yes, the situation on the Tovos was quite dire, with all signs pointing to Ensign Adam Strange having purposefully disabled some of the much-needed tweaks and changes to the systems that make it necessary for traveling through the Hackett Expanse. A shady-looking engineer, Glyn Sot Vel, seems to be the cause of this, truly. And in speaking in very good Cardassian, talking around the subject, it was agreed upon by Gul Nido and Kalev Elrad, I forgot the Kalev part, that they were going to look into the disruptions and find evidence about what had caused the disruptions, and have been given free rein aboard the Tovos.
Really should have, when you started to run this with Cardassians, have given you some of the relatively acceptable beta canon sources, just which give you more Cardassian rank names.
Also, giving you the education that you don't first name a Cardassian unless you're absolutely best friends.
So rude. Or sexy.
Or sex. It's very sexy.
Sexy and rude.
It means all your Cardassians have been going around going, hi. Hello,
Hi.
Jim.
Oh, what a
Lovely to
sexy
see you."
ship.
I don't like it. Please make it stop.
Yeah, they really they are so angry and horny for Adam Strange.
I'm not into it. I'm really not.
Hate
please help.
boners everywhere.
It's just a forest of hate boners. I can't cope.
I need to sit and stomach and really digest angry and horny for Adam Strange as a phrase that has been spoken about
your
I'm pretty
NPC.
sure that's a phrase we've said ages ago when Casey still hated Strange.
True.
That's
a good summary of year one.
This is not Strange's first time having people be angry at him and horny for him at the same time.
And
But it's just this time, there's a whole ship of them, so he just can't deal with it.
And it helps us decide between, the people like the Cardassians and early Casey who are angry and horny, and Arcady who's just cross. There's no horniness involved, just angriness.
Just anger. That's fine. I can cope with that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no hate boners involved. Brilliant.
One other thing to mention is that the USS Iskandar has 3 aliens, presumably. I didn't mean to say aliens. I said aliens. I meant to
3
say
people
prisoners.
in my brig.
In the brig, yes. Of
Detainees.
The raiders. Detainees. Current guests of the brig.
They're not guests.
Current occupants. So yes, what would you like to hop to first? Would you like to deal with prisoners in the brig or the ongoing investigation aboard the Tovos?
Let's start with the prisoners, because being a Tharn and questioning people doesn't seem like that's going to require too much of my immersion brain, which is currently being slow to boot.
Wonderful. Who would a Tharn take into Zal's there?
Yeah, I think she'll just take Zal. This isn't weird enough that she needs to drag Talandra away from whatever she's doing to also be here. This is Talandra's got shit to do.
That's fine. I do not know what a intrepid class brig looks like.
Yeah, Google it.
Just Googling it.
It looks like I was going to try to describe it.
Does it look like a brig?
There's a big room with a little room and there's a force field.
Yeah, that looks the same as any other brig that I've seen in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's 3 occupants, 2 of which are sat on the cot. One is stood nearer the force field. They are all of them human-like, barring some very brief cosmetics. I'm sure if you go into the extended canon of maybe Memory Beta, you'll be able to find out what these aliens are. But they are relatively nondescript.
There's some bumpy foreheaded aliens.
Yeah. The ringleader will say, dressed in furs with sci-fi panels bolted onto them, has long brown hair, maybe slightly tusked, and is kind of stood near the door, having been eyeballing Zal, who stood near the security console, and switches his attention to Captain Athan.
My name is Captain Athan, commander of this Federation starship. Who are you?
My name is Greg Skral, commander of a vessel that is no longer in one piece.
It is in fact in many pieces right now. Greg Skral. State your business in the Expanse.
We were simply hunting for supplies.
Is there a particular reason why you decide to make your life as pirates in this stretch of space?
I think ill fortune and making the best of a bad situation, Captain.
Do you have citizenship of any of the major governments, or in fact of any government?
No, Captain. Certainly not of the Federation.
Then there are no authorities, no judicial system to which I could return you?
It seems not.
Are there more of you out in this expanse, a bigger network?
No.
Well, you see, you could tell me that, and I could not believe you. And then I could, because we are currently far closer to Cardassian territory than we are Federation territory, hand you over to their justice. Or you could cooperate, and you will meet Federation justice and rehabilitation.
I'm going to need a roll.
Yes,
That'll
this is
determine how
rapport.
this goes. Yeah.
It's +2 on the dice. So that's a 7.
A 7.
I'm a talkie captain. I just threatened him with the Cardassian judicial system.
The concept of being sent over to the Cardassians does seem to give him pause for thought. However, with that role, what you will also gain from this, and this will act as a boost for the remainder of this scene, it's not a simple, oh, okay, that's worse than what's planned. He's clearly at war with two concepts and two outcomes in his mind. Whatever threat the Cardassians pose to him, there's something else which is giving him equal pause for concern. And you are having to kind of nudge him one way when there is another concern that he simply hasn't voiced. He will frown at that and say, fine, there are more. 16 vessels total. Wait.
13?
13 vessels total.
Actually, 1 left, so.
14.
Because we don't shoot people when they're running away. That's a considerable number.
Yes.
Is there some reason why this large a disparate band has ended up here?
The pay was good.
You're exceptionally well hidden out here. But it also must have taken an exceptional amount of work to make operating in the Hackett Expanse tenable.
We Borvians are a truly industrious people. He spreads his arms and it's a show of how much work has gone into this costume designers. They are spacefaring, but at level of costuming. He's got a crappy holstered pistol that looks very chunky.
I bet he
Actually, he
doesn't,
wouldn't
but
have
yeah.
that if that's been taken off. But there is nothing. In fact, moreover, the majority of the weapons aren't projectiles. There are scabbards and sheaths for various blades. But he is clearly not a very technical-minded individual. Whether or not that's true of all Borvians.
I don't know what the fuck a Borvian is, then, do I?
Made it up. It's brand new. It's Iskandar canon now.
Does the Tharn know what the fuck a Borvian is?
Yeah, they're kind of. Put it like this. I didn't want to use what are the ones they're using in lower decks right now?
Packleds.
Yeah, it's pack-led level society.
Right.
A bit smarter, but they're throwaway monster type alien brutes.
Sure.
They've refused Federation membership. They don't really have an interest in the Federation. They're mostly marauders.
But they've also built this entire big fuck off ring system around their ships, which is
beyond their capacity.
I believe that you're being equipped, or at least supported in some way by somebody. It is Starfleet's intention to, in cooperation with the Cardassian Union, continue to map out and explore and understand the Hackett Expanse. So, one way or another, your 14 ships are going to continue to encounter vessels of this caliber. My ship defeated two of yours at once, handily. This is a science ship. You know full well Starfleet has larger, more formidable vessels.
He leans his hands against the force field. I almost said his breath fogs on it. That's strange because it's physical light, but yeah, his breath will fog on it as he replies, "So do we."
Indeed. You sincerely think that with Starfleet turning its eye and the Cardassians turning their eye more to the Hackett Expanse, that your people's situation is tenable?
It is my earnest belief, Captain, that the Federation and the Cardassians' continued pleasantries will not withstand the near future.
We seem to be working together quite well right now.
I have been assured it will not last.
Please. I'm a professional diplomat. I do not expect someone of your caliber to understand the dynamics between our governments.
Perhaps that is true, Captain. Just as I do not expect someone of your position to willingly hand me over to a Cardassian justice system, knowing the kind of unpleasantries that will be bestowed upon me there.
Well, we are trying to be friends with them right now. And I'm not about to upset that relationship for the sake of someone who seems intent and committed to continuing to maraud our joint operations.
So long as there is a presence of Starfleet, Federation, of the Cardassian Union here in the Expanse, they will be marauded.
You already lost 2 ships, we lost none. This will carry on with the odds likewise stacked against you. And maybe you will be an inconvenience, but you will be an inconvenience which will inevitably be wiped out or hounded out of the Expanse. Far better for us to discuss this situation and ensure that your people do not have to prey on others. Or you move on.
I do not have the authority to move us on.
And you can give me communication details for someone who does. Or you will languish in a prison, Federation or Cardassian, as your people will inevitably, many of them, die. Especially against Cardassian ships. I guarantee you the Cardassian Union and its military will not take the measures Starfleet will to avoid taking lives. Your 14 ships will be obliterated. You have thrived here for some time because no one has really cared much about the Hackett Expanse. That situation is changing.
Give me another persuasion roll.
There's another 7.
He steps back. You're very much getting the impression that this is someone that has no outcome which is good. He doesn't seem to deem that cooperating is a good outcome. But your words are getting through to him, and he will say, "Why don't I give you some coordinates?"
What are they? What do they lead to?
The outpost I've come from.
What's there?
An opportunity to communicate with my superiors.
If that happens, you'll still be aboard. Thus, the fate of this ship will be yours.
Of course.
If there's someone funding and equipping your people, if you're able to make a deal with someone who wants to undermine the relationship between the Federation and the Cardassians, then there are other deals you can make as well. Ones which don't include pitting yourself against our forces.
But would it pit me against theirs?
It doesn't have to.
It will, certainly.
Who are they?
To speak it is to doom myself.
If you speak it and if you tell me, I will guarantee you will remain within Federation custody and protection. You have my word.
I have seen how deep the talons of my sponsors go. I am not so certain in the protection that you can afford me.
We let the fleeing ship flee. We transported you out of your dying ship. If I were in this to take the most pragmatic route, you and more of your brethren would be dead.
This vessel cannot cloak, correct?
Correct.
I am smart. I have come to a solution.
I'm glad to hear it.
I will give you the coordinates. I will give you a frequency to transmit on. You will have your answer. And I will not need to speak a word of it to you.
That sounds like you wouldn't be in violation of the particular deal you've made.
Correct. I am smart.
You have told me nothing of your benefactor.
Then we have an accord.
We have an accord.
And some coordinates and a frequency are given over to you.
Interesting. This dude will be surfing in New Zealand before he knows it.
Of note, the coordinates are deeper in the expanse.
Yeah. Like, when a thong gets them, she'll fire them off to Reyes with the, like, what's it going to take? What's it going to take for us to communicate with this situation, / how close do we have to get, / can we do anything to boost it? That kind of setup.
I think with the combined efforts of Reyes and rising superstar Glyn Halmid, you are able to get pre-visual confirmation of any life forms, definitely any ships that are active. You would need to drop out of warp to get proper visuals and to get a full sensor array of what you would be walking into. But you can at least be alerted to what you're jumping into.
But we can't we basically can't maintain subspace communication. It would have to be, i.e. faster than light, doing it from a distance away communication through the expanse. We'd have to be there.
Yep.
Cool. That was what I was expecting, but
I'm going to note that Greg Skral is a Borvian. A cool guy. They're going to
sorry.
come back.
If this is why no one likes it when people try to take prisoners in stories, because then in games, because then you've got to figure out what to do with those prisoners.
I support the Borvians. I intend to use them in everything going forward. I intend to make them my flagship made-up bollocks alien.
You've got one.
Yeah, the Theocadians are dope. They're not made-up bollocks aliens. They're very cool. The Borvians, however, are...
Let Mike have his made-up bollocks alien. You get the good alien. You can have the bollocks alien.
Michael is clearly the writer from the 80s. That's like, and then they're gonna have long hair and like guitar solos.
What prosthetics have we got? Where could we put them? Foreheads, okay.
Funnily enough, the module that I'm using did actually have a thing for the prisoners, so you weren't taking me completely by surprise. But frustratingly, it was like, there are prisoners, and then gave more details about what they're doing, and very little detail about who they are. So I did get to add a new race.
Yes, as discussed, other problems with running Trek. You don't really get like random marauder aliens easily. Like, I mean, maybe Nausicans.
Yeah, those are the ones that beat up Picard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and stabbed. Yeah.
Yeah, they were a choice. They were an option, but
was,
I thought
It was also the Nausicaans who featured in Talandra and Elrad's first adventure together.
Yeah, they were I used them in the cutting edge. And Orion's also a good baddie.
Do you want to hop to the Tovos?
Yeah, as Elrad points strange where things are and then helps.
Thanks, Dad.
The situation on board the Tovos is tense, and even for
Really?
Elrad, yeah, it's a very Cardassian tense. Even for
super
Elrad,
tense.
it's clear that a lot of crew are not asking questions pointedly about what you're doing or what your authorization is. As you know, Sotvel has been is doing a lot of exterior work right now. He is doing spacewalking in a little jumpsuit with a helmet, and so he is not a part of any of the repairs that are going on internally. Is your plan just to get the ship fully operational, or at least as operational as it can do without docking?
Yeah? Are there
Yeah.
alternatives?
No.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, there are alternatives because there is always the option of no, you fuckers struck me in prison. I'm done. I'm out.
The-
Our plan
the
is to
only-
collect our people and leave the Cardassians here.
Yeah, fuck this noise. We're out.
The only alternative and the only thing to keep in mind is that Nido would benefit from getting evidence as to what has caused the truth behind. That was
is-
very much the implication when she said you have full authorization.
Oh, yeah.
But we can begin with Adam Strange. Can you make me an engineering check on your repairs, please?
I can.
I can't imagine this will go well.
That's a pants roll.
Oh.
I got a 1.
Oh.
I'm gonna fake point that. 'cause that's a 2 and a 6. I'm gonna use I can fix it, but might have to improvise and spend a fake point on that because that's a shite roll. What if we get a crit fail now? That's better. I've literally reversed that, so now it's 9. That was a good fake point.
Wow.
So yeah, 9.
I have I've removed the minor stress that the Tovos was under, which was related to the impulse engines. They are now working fully based on that role, and I've also taken the moderate down to a minor, which is that now the shield array is at diminished capacity rather than half.
But it
capacity.
has capacity.
It has capacity.
Yay!
You are able to shield. This battered vessel is now capable of safely traversing the Shackleton. The Hackett Expanse. No, they'll know. The Hackett Expanse without falling foul of any errant electromagnetic eddies.
Good stuff.
This has been, for Adam Strange, a very intense few hours of getting into the guts of the ship, crawling through those less spacious Jeffrey's tubes alternatives, whatever they are called within Cardassian ship design. Bob
Cardassian Jeff tubes.
Cardassian Jeff tubes.
Named after Cardassian Jeff.
For Elrad, you're familiar with these kinds of vessels, and honestly, the kind of repair work that Strange is doing is the kind of the expediency that you've come to expect of a Starfleet engineer. If you were in command of this vessel and your engineer was working with the same degree of
Efficiency?
Yeah, goodness. I was thinking.
Competence?
I'm a
Skill?
good boy. No,
I was-
I'm a good boy.
I think the word I want to say is alacrity, but I don't know if that's a real word.
It is a real word.
Is it? Great.
Yeah, it is.
You've got to understand, I suffer from malapropism. Sometimes when my brain offers me a word, it isn't a word that is suitable for the situation.
It's
And so-
usually... You don't usually say made-up words.
that's true.
Just similar sounding, but wrong.
Alacrity and efficiency befitting the kind of individual that you would love to have as your engineer of your warship that you don't have anymore.
I mean, Lingiati was pretty cool. But Lingiati is not here. And also, like, you know, it's like Starfleet. Their captains, they're fine. Their security guards, they're fine, I guess. Their science, who gives a shit? Nerds. Their engineers.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking.
And yeah, quicker than a sparrow's fart, you're able to get the.
That's a time of day, Michael. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's not
That's the
idiot
malapropism.
related to speed.
Yep, you
I
have
guess it will be
made.
very brief.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
well, I don't know. Maybe it's not.
I
It's
think that's
really
15,
long.
20 minutes of content. How quick would that be? It's gotta be brief, right? or is it long? Is it way too long?
15-20 minutes is way too long.
Any ornithologists in chat, let us know how long is a sparrow fart?
Don't. So
I
yeah.
assist Ensign Strange in doing this work, despite not being an engineer. But yeah, Elrad has commanded a Galor for like 10 years. He
It's
knows
pronounced
his way.
Gaylor.
A Gaylord class ship for like 10 years.
He's super good at his job. He's got that Cardassian leadership skill down.
Mm-hmm.
On a uneven and chunky Cardassian pad, a message will come through that indicates that Glenville will be finishing his external works within the next hour. That communique has come from Nido.
Well, with all of this work done, Ensign, shall we take a look at the records of what occurred in this ship before it fell out of warp?
Yes, we should probably take a look at that. No, the ship's at least in something approaching working order.
Now, I may not be much use in actually understanding what happened, but I am quite familiar with our logging systems, and there should have been a very robust set of records taken of what actions and alterations were made, especially under this circumstance. So let's start there and see if we find anything enlightening.
Yes, I think I know what we want to be looking at as well.
Indeed, you can. I will find if something is strange in protocol, and you can explain what it means. Let's get to work.
Let's get some computer hacking going.
I
wanna check
hacking
those-
roll.
I want to look at those timestamps of like when I did the repairs and when they were turned off by that dickhead who's currently crawling on the outside of the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess this is going to be operations.
Yes, operations is computer
Yeah, being
systems.
How 3
in total.
3 in total.
You start looking through, and when essentially, to put it in terms that we would understand, when you click to get more information about the time log itself, those areas remain inaccessible to you specifically with just a 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little peculiar. And we don't have the access here. Let me see if I can
By all means.
work in through the back end. Like a go based off, like Elrad is not a hacker, but he knows these systems.
I will allow you either to do a complete reroll, or if you want, you could spend a fate point and tag one of Elrad's aspects to add to that roll.
Yes, I'll do that just to make it a 5. That seems like the best answer here, rather than
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
I have a plus
as
2
a-
to ops, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a reasonably good chance that it would be a much worse roll.
Yeah.
With a reroll.
Uh,
I'm only
which
adding
aspect?
2.
yeah. Let's tag. Let's just tag dutiful Cardassian citizen.
I like that. There are means by which a captain is able to, not a captain, a girl of
Captain
commandable
small
function.
c,
Yeah.
like
Small C captain is able to access rank
I
files.
thought it was a space
and
captain,
get
not a sea
oversight.
captain.
Fucking Christ, Jesus. That captains are able to get access to particular areas, and the operating system hasn't changed since you were last.
Windows 95, my old friend.
You are able
192,
to
95.
You're able to look at essentially the subsystems at work that have basically trace information that allow you to pin down who changed what without it being within the strict interface of this system has changed at this point. And you can indeed see that these changes were put in place by Glinval. And specifically, there's evidence of aforementioned user altering records to have the username essentially as the Starfleet personnel's pad rather than his own pad.
Well, this is exceptionally disappointing. The Glyn has been actively tampering with records.
Yes, I assumed as much when they said that I have been the one who'd made the changes
Yes,
to the ship systems.
that's what I expected. It is still disappointing. Do you have any suppositions based on any of this as to what actually did happen? What affected to the ship systems exactly was...
Right. Mike, do I? Or shall I just technobabble this one?
I wasn't listening.
Is there a specific, like, this is what in plot is why ship explode?
Yeah,
or shall I technobabble well, these systems are down and these systems are down, and then electromagnetic eddies made the thing explode. But in like technobabble terms.
It's unfortunately it does hinge on information that you don't have. But it looks like a specific hull, rather the starboard shields were dropped at a specific time.
Oh.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's worse.
that is worse. I'm glad I checked before I technobabbled.
It is in amongst a lot of the reversions of the systems, but looking at it, that's the key thing that fucked it up. It might well be that with enough people working at enough stations, you would have been able to compensate for a lot of the downgraded equipment. The shields being dropped is the big no-no.
When you say being dropped, do you mean as in the active verb, someone dropped them, or that they failed? I.e., did the Hackett expanse make the system go funky?
No.
Or did someone press the off switch or set it
Yes.
up such
Yeah.
that the off switch would be put on at a specific point?
Yes.
That. Okay.
Let's take a look through the tactical records to see what exactly transpired with the deflectors. And that is something which Elrad's going to be hopefully good at getting through because, you know, he was a tactical officer.
Yeah. Give me a roll for Elrad looking at. Give me that ops check.
Or
From what you are able to tell, a console in engineering was used. No, it wasn't in engineering. It specifically was not in engineering. A console was accessed at one of the forward points of the ship, quite far away from engineering, in which an input code was applied that put down those shields at a very specific time. The shield malfunction had only a few seconds of being registered before the strike happened.
interesting.
Any details of what the strike was? So, like, what impacted?
It was a surge of electromagnetic force coming from the eddy.
Is that the sort of thing we've been able to anticipate?
Everything that has gone into the amendments to your systems has been to anticipate those eddies.
Okay, so the timing, if someone wants to do it intentionally, is reasonable as opposed to weirdly serendipitous or
Yeah, it's not. Well, I'll just switch this off. Oh, look, an eddy. It's,
yeah.
Right, there's an eddy coming up, and now we switch it off.
Yes.
Do I have an idea of whose access code, or at least the tier of the access code?
The access code matches the one that you have seen before. It was the same Glenvell's access code stamped all over this. It's the kind of thing that if you weren't looking, and if you didn't have the information of the ship's records have been falsified, there would never be a reason to check someone in a console in this habitat suite turned off the shield remotely.
Well, I'm disappointed in the ship's chief engineer, and I'm disappointed in its chief tactical officer, but that's an aside. Chief engineer sabotaged the ship. In your estimation,
Why?
in your estimation, Ensign, the ship being struck by one of these surges of the Hackett Expanse with its deflector shields compromised.
Mm-hmm.
There were injuries. Can you paint me a picture of realistically how bad, how much worse could it have been? How dangerous was this sabotage?
Again, Mike, any specific things, or shall I just run with this one?
Based on your previous engineering roles, we can just keep this kind of as a flow.
Cool.
You were pulled out of a very well sealed off area. That detonation was entirely localized, and had it not been for internal shielding kicking in, the casualties would have been much worse. In fact, from the detonation, other than a couple of engineers that were maybe positioned outside, you were the only casualty of the detonation. Every other casualty has come as a part of the Raiders' attack and any ongoing systems failures. All of this to say, this was designed to minimize loss of life, but to completely demobilize the ship.
So it looks like, had it been targeted on another part of the ship, then it would have been much worse in terms of casualties. As it is, this was targeted very carefully at the ship's systems themselves. It's interesting the timing of it with the arrival of the raiders as well, targeting the ship's systems such that the ship is immobile. And then these raiders turn up.
I can believe that this Glyn is here to sabotage this joint operation between Starfleet and the Cardassian Union, but sabotaging a Cardassian ship that he is aboard with the expectation of leaving it exposed against raiders.
It does seem like a bit of an odd move.
That's the timing.
Tactically.
It is possible that the raiders simply attacked because they clearly had the technology and the systems to navigate the Expanse better than we do. They presumably have made similar amendments to their sensor array. It is possible that they were waiting for the time to strike. But if that is not the case, yes, their timing was very fortunate for them.
Mm.
Let us go speak to Galnida.
You can get an audience with Nido with very little hesitation. She will see you in her ready room, and I imagine you supply her the information.
Yeah. Yep. It's like, and here are all the receipts.
I think it is needless to say that this is... To say this is unacceptable will be putting this lightly.
Mm-hmm.
To say that I am humiliated that this has occurred on my ship is in and of itself an understatement. She touches wherever a Cardassian needs to touch for ship-wide comms, and specifically says, "Security, I need you to bring Glyn Vell in to my ready room immediately." She turns to look out of the window, the wide expanse of space beyond the Iskandar in view. What is your advice in this matter, Mr. Elrad?
Your officer has sabotaged this ship. You need to understand why. That is paramount. One way or another, he has not decided unilaterally to do this. Obviously, Gull, you must be aware of the possibility that you are entering into fraught political territory if an officer on your ship has been motivated to sabotaging it. Who told him to do so? Why? What do they want? And why are they acting against you?
I wish that I could say with any degree of confidence that the House of Nido had so few enemies that it would be easy to orchestrate and pinpoint exactly who might have it out for me, as you've rightly put it.
I mean that whoever did this did not believe that you should be approached to undermine this mission.
Yes.
There are many possibilities, but I am not inclined to enter into conjecture at this stage.
There's a chirp of a communication device and a male Cardassian voice, which is recognizably that of the security officer. Gulnido. She says, yes. Glinvel has shot himself in his chambers. Nido ends the comm without saying a word. There's a moment where she's just staring. Picks up that lovely, what's the drink called?
Kanar.
Kanar bottle. Fucking hurls it at a wall. And just like that, the answers are gone.
There may still be avenues, but they are avenues you are going to have to pursue. His communication and travel records, those with whom he associated.
They will be gone through most thoroughly.
How well did you know the Glen?
He was attached to the Tovos when I came aboard. I have only known him for a matter of years.
I think it might behoove you, Gull, to ensure and select wherever possible staff whom you can trust implicitly.
I am very confident, Mr. Elrad, that the staff of the Tovos and my stationing on it will be under a great deal of revision. I have no doubt that I will retain my position. I am not confident that I will have the capacity to oversee the changes in staff, but I do not think this crew will be intact come the end of this. Gentlemen, I have to thank you at this stage for your service, and given the update on the systems that you have provided me, authorize your safe and thanked return to the Iskandar.
Thank
I
you.
understand, of course, I will be making my report on this situation to my superiors in the government.
I understand.
And I will make the case clear of your assistance and your cooperation and your search for the truth.
That I appreciate.
I'll leave. I'm not going to gush over her anymore.
No. I nearly had her. I nearly had her say, I apologize. I was like, no.
No.
No, she doesn't.
No.
She absolutely doesn't. This is as close to an apology as we're getting. Adam Strange is going to take that and leave before anything else happens on this goddamn ship.
The Iskandar's crew can be returned to the Iskandar. The situation is as it stands. The Tovos is now warp capable. The civilian ships are completely unharmed from your defense. You have the coordinates that were given to you by, I nearly said Cad Quilton, not Cad. Cad's
No.
amazing.
Greg.
Greg
Skrull. I need to
Greg
adjust it so
Skrull.
it's not Greg Skrull.
Greg.
Greg Skull.
Greg. Let's put that in caps so that A doesn't look at all wonky.
No, he's called Greg now.
Oh, Greg. So in practical, we still need to get from A to B on this fucking convoy mission.
Yep.
Like, where does these coordinates lead us? That like, do we?
And how far
I'd
off?
rather we deliver these civilians.
Yeah, let's get
and then double back.
yeah. We get the civvies out of the way and
Yeah.
not likely to get shot at anymore.
Like, unless that's
This-
completely bonkers with the setup, but that's what I'm doing.
No. This was the closest point to the coordinates that you've been given. This is the closest point of interception to them and to whatever whatever
We've
these
got to come
coordinates will lead
back
to.
anyway, so
Yeah.
we'll deal with this shit on the return journey.
Yeah.
And I am not telling fucking Golnido because I don't want to get the Cardassians involved. That's how negotiations turn into a kill zone.
Superb. Well,
And
with
also
all
they can
that-
piss off. They've served their plot purpose. Go away now.
You say they've served their plot purpose. It turns out Golnido was in on it the whole time.
You bitch.
you go there,
tall
Golnido's there.
We go to the coordinates and it's Golnido's house.
RA35. I imagine we get just a few montage pieces of the vessels all arriving at this array, at the civilian ships docking, goodbyes from craggy-faced Bertrand and the young Cad Krilton.
That NPC got so rejected by us.
No, I think that's entirely fair.
Like Bertrand Vaughn served his purpose, but Cad Krilton, you're like, here's this NPC, and Raz was like, get
off
the
the
fuck out.
You're done. You leave now.
Out.
It's more pertinent that this is also going to be the offboarding of rising superstar Glyn Halmir.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the NPC who we care about parting ways with.
She's genuinely learned a lot from her time on the Iskandar.
Good.
Her eyes have been opened that, hey, sometimes you're not just a prisoner of war. That
Sometimes you're not a hostage. No, worse than that. She wasn't surrendered. Sometimes you're not surrendered as a hostage.
Yeah. I think that was a very clear moment for her. I'm going to grab Reyes, in fact.
Yeah.
She's just finished some fairly routine maintenance, has done so in fairly good time, and is kind of wiping off her hands. And there's a chirp. She glances at a pad and she says, I will be departing the Iskandar very shortly.
All right. Well, it was good to have you with us. Hope you, I'd say, enjoyed this, but weird situation.
Is it awkward? Is it also as weird if I say I did enjoy this?
No.
Okay, then I did.
Good. You're a good engineer. You've got good instincts, and you listen.
Thank you. She starts heading towards the door. They sweep open. She gets as close for the sensors to kick in, kind of pauses, looks over her shoulder. If there is a continued cooperation between the Cardassians and the Federation, do you think it would be entirely heard of for a Cardassian to enroll in Starfleet?
Honestly, I was going to say, frankly, you're wasting on a military ship. All they care about is just making it get from A to B somewhere and not actually fine-tuning the systems. You really should try to, somewhere your talents are going to be used better. So, yeah.
Are you saying that you would give me a commendation for such a...
Yeah, I know some
enrollment?
people in the SCE. You need a captain grade as a non-Federation citizen. You'd need their recommendation. But I do know some captains. Yeah, I know some captains. Just get the paperwork sorted and I'll, pester someone at Utopia Planitia or someone I know.
Okay. As long as it's not any trouble, I'll be in touch.
It's not trouble to get good engineers.
She turns. She leaves.
Good kid.
And yeah,
Yes,
the
adopt the twink.
The twink. I guess this is Reyes' version of
This is Reyes' version of adopting all the science twinks.
twinks. Yeah, adopt
the
the tiny nerd,
yeah, great nerd, A++ nerd,
Leggett nerd.
Leggett nerd.
Like it, nerd.
Captain Nerd.
Admiral Nerd.
Admiral. And I think we get a shot of the Tovos and the Iskandar heading in slightly different directions. Clearly, neither of them heading to Starbase, whatever it was.
I don't know. I've lost my piece of paper. So.
It doesn't matter. We're not going back there unless you really want to. In fact, you probably will. Neither of them. You're going separate ways through the Hackett Expanse. We see the Iskandar moving as those orange electric mists roll around it. And we shall be stopping there for a break.
Good.
Yeah. Take this as an opportunity to get yourselves refreshed. We'll pick back up, let's say 9 o'clock. And yeah, we'll see where this takes us. Bye for now. No, I transitioned to the wrong thing. Hold on. Oh shit. I just transitioned back to us. Bye for now. Kapow. Welcome back. Star Trek Iskandar, the midst of chaos, part finale, the final part of the final part. When we last left the crew of the USS Iskandar having deposited the civilian vessels at the array deep in the wild and treacherous Hackett Expanse.
Really the best word either. But...
having excluded the
I take it back. You do sometimes. I think make up words.
That's not a that's a combination of excrete and extrude.
Yep.
We finished the convoy mission.
You finished the convoy
We
mission, which is the only
successfully
mission.
escorted the convoy to the place that they were going to their destination.
And we have confirmation that the actor that played rising superstar Glyn Halmid will be joining us in season 20 of Star Trek Iskandar, whatever fucking season this is.
See you all in 40 years.
And the next and possibly last thing that the crew of the USS Iskandar have to do is to go to
This is our last thing.
This is where we die.
Go to
In real life as well.
a set of coordinates. There are trained gunmen.
We're committed.
I just had to fucking move house today. You could have killed me before this.
No.
Go to some coordinates deep in a different part of the Hackett Expanse, broadcasting on a certain frequency, told to you by your exceptionally smart prisoner, Gregory. The true mark of any intellect is that he said at least twice that he is smart. So you know,
I think
this
it's about
guy means
3 or
business.
4 times he said.
Yeah,
he's
this
smart.
is big brain,
Yeah,
deep
that
wrinkled
sounds
play.
like I'm very smart. You're wrong about this political situation. That didn't work. I was quite disappointed that he didn't try to then mansplain to me why I was wrong and he was right.
Damn it! I should have.
I should have asked for a provoke check.
Yeah. At any point, you could tell me you're rolling anything, and I will obey what the dice tell me to do.
Noted.
And yeah, the crew are all heading deep into the expanse. Everyone is on board at their stations in the helm, cockpit, bridge. That's it. There we go.
Are there any ships out there?
2 is what will immediately come from sensor. 1 big, 1 small.
When we say big, how is big in the scale to Iskandar?
Bigger than the Iskandar.
Like
Okay.
super bigger than Iskandar?
Or just a wee bit bigger than the Iskandar.
The estimates that are coming through is that this is some kind of flight deck vehicle. This is something that deploys ships.
Oh,
So-
it's an aircraft carrier.
Okay, so my interpretation is that what I mean to say is I would assume that non-military organizations are unlikely to have ships of that size.
Yes.
So, okay, cool. Just making sure that you're not like, no, it could be a reconverted blah, blah, blah. Like, pirates could do that. I'm just
No,
checking.
they've got an
No,
aircraft
I
carrier.
think
Yeah,
that's a
this is an
very
aircraft
accurate
carrier.
assessment.
Cool.
curious.
What's the small one like? Is that like the ones we've shot at before? Is it bigger, smaller?
Give me an ops check on that.
Oh.
Because I've given you kind of the cursory information you'll be able to get. This is kind of deeper preemptive scanning.
Deep lore.
What's Kantos's ops?
I was gonna say, maybe we should make our ops officer do that.
No.
We should, but we could not do that. One. It wasn't a great dice roll. But,
And its ops is not your thing. Like,
and yeah, I fly the ship. Ops is for nerds.
Lieutenant Casey, can you give us can you give us an assessment of the second ship?
Jesus Christ.
Is he like seeing
No
the
need for
space
that.
of time, or does he
No
shit
need for that
himself?
language.
He whisks through it. He swipes a few things at his console, and then goes, "It's not too dissimilar in terms of readings to the civilian vessels that we've seen. That of the convoy."
Interesting.
Possibly something they've taken, or possibly a messenger. Monitor that ship for its activities as well. Obviously, we want to see about the big one, but I'm curious on if once we start communicating this, what this small one does.
Yes, Captain.
Open a channel on that frequency. I want them to hear us as soon as possible. After all, we're here to talk.
The frequency goes out, and then who does communications?
Ops or tactical, depending on who you can be fucked with dealing with.
To Kowalski or Zal.
I'll do Kowalski. Kowalski chirps up of, "Oh, we're being held on the frequency, Captain."
On screen?
No visual, Captain.
Well, put it through.
And you hear a male voice go, "Greg, how are you?"
My name is Captain Athan of the Federation starship Iskandar. We have been attacked by individuals in the Expanse, and following their trail, have come here. To whom am I speaking?
I don't suppose you could put Greg on very quickly for me. Just
Greg's not available right now.
No. That's a shame. Is he dead?
Who am I talking to?
Hold 1 second, 1 second. Looks like you're not too far away from visuals.
We're on
Tell you
our
what.
way.
Yeah. Why don't we have a little tete-a-tete, huh? Face to face.
Via our communication systems?
Oh,
That sounds
absolutely, yes.
fine. Be very happy to talk.
I think Zal will chirp up saying, "Nearly at our destination, ready to leave warp."
Bring us out.
Hi, Captain.
The
On
Iskandar
screen.
drops out of warp. A few things are immediately visible. One is a pale white star in the far distance. The other is a planet. It's very obviously an arid desert world. It's just a red husk of a planet. There are two ships immediately in view. The smaller of the two is the closer of the two. It doesn't look too dissimilar from all of the vessels that were part of the Coronis, apart from it seems to be very damaged. There is a light flashing on the side of it. And then further back, there is a enormous vessel. Very bulbous, kind of a dark brownish grey hull, numerous rotund hull elements that indicate different parts of the ship, illuminated in parts with yellow lights, and immediately recognizable to, I would say, everyone on the ship as a marauder class. This is a ship from the Orion Syndicate.
Oh, okay. I was thinking Ferengi. Ferengi Marauders.
Yeah.
No. It is an Orion ship, and indeed, the visuals will be established. There is a fairly long-faced, tussle-haired Orion male, green skin, black hair, one eye gold, and it looks like there is some kind of mechanical implants around the eye. Spreads his arms wide as he becomes visual, and visuals are achieved, and says, "There you are."
You have me at a disadvantage.
Yes, I absolutely do. I am going to try and maintain that disadvantage for as long as is civilly possible, if I may. But you did say something interesting, something that I just want to roll back to. I'll tell you what. Why don't we do introductions again, shall we?
That's really what I meant by at a disadvantage.
Oh, I know fully, but I've
My
changed.
name is Captain Nadaria Tharn.
Tharn.
Federation Starship Iskandar. And to whom am I speaking?
My name is Krivix.
Krivix.
Yes. A Tharn. I didn't recognize you from the new body.
Have we met?
You don't remember. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I thought you shared.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Incredible. Truly, truly incredible. So, I'm imagining because my good friend Greg, long may he suffer, has brought you here using the frequencies that I personally prefer when someone is approaching my vessel, that little convoy made it there safely and they weren't able to secure us anything.
My mission was completed successfully, yes.
Oh, that means mine was not successful.
No, I'm afraid not.
Well, boo. I'm not a fan of that.
I would say I'm sorry to hear that, but that would just be platitudes, I'm afraid.
We could afford a little bit of platitudes.
Well, no. I'm terribly sorry you've been so inconvenienced.
Thank you. I mean, you could make it up to me.
Could I?
Yeah. I could take this vessel of yours.
That would rather be an excessive escalation of your behavior.
I don't know how much you know about us. Escalation's kind of our thing.
Which us, your...
Oh, the Syndicate.
The Syndicate, however, taking a Federation starship is a significant escalation.
Yeah. About that. Zal says their weapons are going online.
Start bringing us backwards, Lieutenant Cantos.
Aye, Captain.
Keep us at a distance.
He goes...
Setting coordinates for leaving the Expanse, just in case.
Good idea.
So, this kind of impasse that we're at, it would be a shame to let you go.
You seem rather more like someone who'd prefer if I went to bring a message of warning. I understand you've been operating with a large amount of secrecy, but my Cardassian allies are going to be long gone of the Expanse, and no that we had an operation here. There'll be further investigations if we go missing, or you can pronounce whatever it is I think you'd quite like to say.
You're not wrong. I am very fond of being able to go. I mean, I've never personally done it. You should remember. You don't remember. That's fine. I have never personally had the opportunity to go, "Mwahaha, this is the evil scheme." This does rather mean that things need to escalate in a way that I wasn't fully anticipating. So that is interesting. That's something I need to go away and consider. I suppose by way of messaging, it's probably worth you knowing how is Gulnido alive?
She lives.
That's a shame. Anyway, it goes far deeper. Very deep. Very, very deep. We are going to bring the Cardassians to their knees. Sorry.
The Federation will attempt to stop you, obviously, in anything that you attempt.
Obviously. Can't wait. Personally, I think it's going to be fun.
Why the Cardassians?
Come on now.
Just, they're there, and they're weak.
When have you ever known us to waste resources on people just because they're there?
I mean, they're an opportunity.
Everything's an opportunity.
Some opportunities are more easily seized than others.
Some opportunities are worth the risk.
I wasn't questioning if you could do it, but I was wondering why the Cardassians and why now.
A political structure currently trying to stabilize itself, and from recent reports, struggling at doing that. A great opportunity for a civilian to be a civilian populace to grow disheartened, displaced, disillusioned with the system of state. Valuable resources.
That does make sense.
Yeah. Anyway, boop, and the civilian ship in front of you detonates. I am going to need a...
I did not even get around to scanning that bit just to see if there were any people or innocents in the mix here.
Not anymore.
Well, they're gone.
I will need from the Iskandar a pilot check.
From the Iskandar or from Kantos?
I would say from Kantos, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get us out of here. We gotta go.
10.
Holy shit. I was sitting pretty on a 6 and I was
We
like,
just vanish.
Got him.
We hit warp 10. Kantos gets us out of here so fast they turn into a lizard.
Yeah, the civilian ship detonates with the kind of force that indicates that isn't just an engine being detonated. That was
it's
clearly
been rigged with explosives to go kaboom and take us with it.
Some quick thinking from Kantos, it means that rather than it being just immediate hammering on the shields, that you're able to take merely superficial shield damage. But even as that vision begins to clear, you see several smaller ships deploying from the marauder. And the figure on screen is laughing.
Hang up. This has gone through as much talking as he needed to give us. Get us out of here, Lieutenant.
Aye, Captain. And Candace will punch those coordinates that they've already set up for getting the fuck out of Dodge.
There is some fire that comes from the disruptor arrays aboard the lighter vessels that are sent to basically maraud you upon your exit, but you are able to slip into warp very easily. You are not pursued into warp.
Let's return to Starbase and get ready to make a full report.
Setting course for the starbase.
Starbase, whatever the fuck it was.
621.
Starbase thingy.
Starbase 420.
621. I told you, I just said it.
Nope, Starbase 420, and Cantos will blaze it.
That's my new thing.
That's...
It's not okay, just blaze it.
That's the thing. That's it. We got it. It's taken us 14 episodes, but we got it.
It's still better than Let's Fly, frankly.
Yes.
Any scenes that you want to have before hitting Starbase 621?
Yeah, we have a scene of Athan trying out her new catchphrase in the mirror.
Like, Athana's gonna go to her fucking ready room and, like, hit up her own goddamn records for this Kirik motherfucker, or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Including, you know, obviously her previous hosts' diaries.
There isn't too much. In fact, give me a roll.
I'll give you a law check.
Give me a law.
Oops, that's Elrad.
Oops, all Elrad.
That's a 5. Like,
Kirik.
obviously any information generally exists about him, but it sounds like, was this dude, like, for him it was the greatest day of his life, but for me it was Tuesday? Like...
What you're able to get from wider Starfleet logs is that Kirik is a pretty notorious slaver type. Has been able to evade a lot of Starfleet interception and has run several pirate rings, clearly quite well established within the syndicate, but this is probably, he's never been in charge of a marauder. They are particularly notable ships. Those are the things that basically dock on their slave type vessels. But it seems like in recent time he has gotten himself a little bit of acclaim. This is certainly the first time he's been noticed by Starfleet for a little while. Does have a bit of a grudge against the Cardassians, but nothing that is particularly notable other than a few instances of actually taking Cardassian slaves. The worst part about it is that on your personal logs and the personal logs of Athan, there is absolutely no mention of this guy.
I mean, my interpretation is still that I just have all the memories, but frankly, like, OC, I've forgotten people I've met, so...
Yeah. I think, certainly as a plot thread...
Yeah, no, this isn't just like, I don't know who the fuck it is. I'm aware this is actually on the... This is weird.
Yeah. It is something that will give Athan pause for thought of... This is just someone that you have no recollection for, and no recollection is forthcoming. The symbiote is not referred. Yeah,
nothing's even being stirred as I read more, which one would expect if it was.
Yes.
Oh, you're not immediately recognizable. Oh, but it's that guy. Yeah. Tharn will brood.
Mm-hmm. Any more for any more?
I do have some Elrad-y stuff for a few, but I'm just trying to think of timings. Actually, I think it will be... He'll seek out Strange relatively soon off, so that can still happen in the Expanse.
Mm-hmm.
trying to think of probably more like in the mess hall kind of level of public. This isn't
Yeah.
a go to his quarters and have a conversation.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Yes, you will find Strange on a coffee break. Sit with some red leaf tea. Ensign, mind if I join you?
No.
I hope you're doing well after your detention on the Tovos.
Yeah, I've wasn't there for very long. It's not like anything happened and all patched up after the explosion.
It is a matter of shame to me that the Cardassian ship responded to the situation as it did, accusing you, even with falsified evidence. That should not have happened, that was wrong. And insofar as I have the authority to apologize, I apologize.
No, thank you.
I thought you comported yourself admirably during the undertaking and then in the battle and then in our work afterwards. It would not have been unexpected for you to harbor enough justified resentment to not to try as hard as you did to get the ship patched back up. And it was noted and it was appreciated.
If the ship's going to get patched up, it needs doing properly. Especially if it's a ship you're on.
I have no desire to make assumptions or to intrude on your personal or even your professional business, Ensign. And I do not know what has happened to cause your demotion. However, I hope I am not overstepping if I wish to express that in all of my dealings with you, past and recent, you are a good engineer, Ensign Strange.
Do you want to know why I got demoted?
I would listen if you would tell me, but it is not my business.
Everybody, most other people on the ship know it's something you'd probably end up hearing at some point. So, I don't see any reason not to tell you. I got demoted because I thought it would be a good idea to try and rework Borg technology. And I came this close to possibly destroying a planet's civilization. It's only because I got very lucky that things didn't escalate any further that didn't happen.
I did not expect that explanation.
No, most people didn't expect that to be a thing that I did. There are a lot of people who are still surprised that that's how things happened.
Altering Borg nanites to what end? Sorry, technology, you said. Technology to what end?
I thought that there were... Let's say I thought I could make some kind of medical breakthrough and succeed where 20 years of research had failed. And I could have. actually. The technical stuff was there. It would have worked. But that's not what makes somebody a good engineer. It's not about being good with the technical skills, and because I wasn't a good engineer with it, because I didn't do things properly, I let myself get ahead. I got to the point where, it's that old phrase, too busy focusing on whether or not I could to think whether or not I should. All those kind of things that are actually what makes somebody a good engineer. It's not just the tech stuff. It's knowing how to use those skills to do the right thing. And that isn't what I did.
It seems good of you that you are taking responsibility for what you have done. I would also remind you that I didn't just say you were good at doing your job on a technical basis. I said that you showed good judgment, and forgiveness is too strong and very much not the right word. I'm not going to pass comment on that situation. I have no understanding of why you did what you did. All we can ever do from the darkest points of our lives is try to learn what we can so that, yes, so that we can stop them, but also so that we can weather them should they come again.
No, I'd agree with that. And I'm, working on it, but I wouldn't quite say I'm a good engineer yet. I think there's probably still some work to do.
I think it is good then to commit to working on yourself. But I will always have no reservations about working with you again, Anson.
Thank you.
He will take his he'll take his tea and go.
Yep,
That was
Strange will
lovely.
kind of down the last of his coffee and leave.
That was
I
really
want to
lovely.
find board tech. That was not what I was fucking expecting.
No, I bet it fucking wasn't.
Starbase 621, the Iskandar docks, and I imagine it's a Tharn and whoever Tharn would take to a meeting and debriefing with Captain Cassera.
Who the fuck's Captain Cassera? It's Starfleet Captain. I'll take my EXO.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
that's the Starbase captain. She has lots of plants in her quarters.
Mhm. Oh yeah, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
It was
I don't have
months
my bit
ago.
of paper. Yeah, I'll take my EXO.
Yeah. I imagine she's got a pad. She's been reviewing the information, sets it down, and says, "Well, needless to say, this is troubling.
The Orion Syndicate getting involved in the Cardassian lack of stability is unusual and certainly an escalation.
Quite surprising, and also, given that we have no real idea as to whether or not they have entirely vacated the Hackett Expanse,
What?
that any civilian efforts are under further jeopardy. And
Certainly, I would recommend any further. I would recommend a few more reconnaissance missions first. However, obviously, we'll be happy to. You have in that report all of our sensor readings on their ships to perhaps better detect them or possibly take into account some of their modifications.
Yes, we thank you for those reports. I have been instructed by the Admiralty to pass that on to the USS Bellerophon, which will be taking a more permanent station here.
Very good, Captain.
I can only thank you for your efforts and everything that you have undertaken. They would not have arrived were it not for the Iskandar's intervention.
Well, very good, Captain.
Thank you.
Walk out with Talandra, and the Thard will sort of stop, frown at nothing for a moment. The Bellerophon is also an Intrepid class ship.
I don't know if I'm missing something that Talandra wouldn't miss.
Not necessarily. We did this mission, we found this lead, we gathered this information, and this mission was a success. And further pursuit of this situation and this investigation is being handled by another ship. And it is not because the Bellerophon is better suited as a ship to this operation.
We knew this would be the risk, Captain.
I think this was an utterly unavoidable consequence, one way or another.
Perhaps. But the decision not to permanently sever our connection to Ensign Strange has still had consequences.
The whole damn ship. Well, let's make sure that engineering are making sure that all of our ship systems are repaired, recovered, recalibrated after the Hackett expansion. We will await further orders on whatever drudgery Starfleet deems appropriate for the Iskandar next.
I have passed on the requests of Lieutenant Reyes to the Starbase staff. But who knows, Captain? Perhaps we will be lucky and more marauders will attack us in future.
I still don't remember that, Orion.
He seemed quite convinced, Captain.
If that was a gambit, see that I'm a Trill, pretend to recognize my name. He gave me no further information other than, you don't remember me, you should remember me. But still.
No offense is intended, Captain, when I say perhaps there are many more people in your lives that you have forgotten. If they were not important to you.
Maybe. Maybe.
Talandra doesn't try and make her feel better by saying, I know I have, because she's a Vulcan. She remembers everything.
You know, I also do kind of headcanon that symbionts must have pretty, like, fucking cracking good memories compared to humans. But yeah, like, not in fact, not. There's no indication of, like, photographic recall. Well, this isn't our problem anymore. Let's see what
Indeed.
comes next.
And credits roll.
No,
No? Fuck.
no.
I always do this. I'm always too soon with that. I'm sorry.
No,
I'll
mid-credit
go away.
scene.
No. Elrad still needs to have a conversation with Talandra.
Oh, God. Forgive me. Yes. The reason why people even show up.
This is why we put this scene in the mid-credits.
The only reason I showed up to this session.
It's just like she's busy. She's very busy while they're in the expanse. So he waits until after they're not in the all hands on deck situation. Also, whether or not Sad Boys, like, frankly, if you two keep GMing, then like the Sad Boys are still going to have to talk at some point. Like, I'm just pointing that out.
No, they can keep avoiding each other forever. That's a healthy relationship.
I need you all to know that Sable Whisper, who GMs often, has not been keeping up with Iskandar and was sat on the sofa when I commented on their breakup speech. And I just heard the smallest voice go, "What?"
They're on a break. Yeah.
They're on a break.
It's not a breakup. Honest.
That would require them to be communicating.
Exactly.
It actually were. Poor fucking Strange. I mean, consequences of his actions, but also poor fucking Strange. That's rough.
Fucking strange. Imagine living your life as Casey and then just suddenly one day, oh, by the way, I've been demoted. I might be arrested. Also, you're dying. Bye. Like,
Yeah, like, that's a lot for somebody to just suddenly jump into your lap and go, by the way.
Not even consequences of your own actions. That's just there.
yeah,
It's just a
Strange
thing.
is responsible for his own behavior. Casey just
Casey
sort of
is
was
responsible for none of this.
like, I was promoted. I've got a boyfriend. You know what? I'm really ticking along. Nope.
Oh, no, boyfriend might be arrested. Boyfriend did crimes.
And I've
I'm
got a
dying.
decade to live. Brilliant.
Yeah, so like once
Anyway.
once Iskandar is docked and is no longer like all hands on deck, all systems are on fire, then yeah, Elrad will come to see, yeah, probably Talandra in her quarters.
Yes, I imagine she's probably at the desk in the quarters not relaxing because she's very bad at that. And like, we'll still be like going over a few reports and you know, drinking a coffee and fundamentally looking like she's still on duty even though she's in her quarters.
Commander,
Mr. Elrad.
I assume this all matters aboard are resolved with the mission?
Resolved to the fullest capability they can be at this exact moment. I believe Lieutenant Reyes has... That isn't an interesting topic of conversation, is it?
At the very least, I fear that I will be able to contribute very little to a discussion about Iskandar's internal systems. However, if you wish to speak about your work, then I am, of course, content and satisfied to listen.
As it stands at the moment, my work is fairly mundane. The captain is bemoaning that we are not being given any important tasks. But as far as I am concerned, it means that I can focus on ensuring the ship is running at maximum efficiency.
That sounds indeed how a captain should be approaching the situation and how a first officer should be approaching the situation.
The captain has ambitions for the ship, and I support my captain.
I've not, to that regard, I have not wanted to make any demands upon your time of late. There seems to have been a considerable amount of work needed to be done aboard Iskandar, and certainly in traveling through the Hackett Expanse.
Yes. I am grateful that we have both been able to work so closely on this mission, even though matters aboard the Tovos were less than ideal.
I remain greatly concerned at the idea that an officer aboard the Tovos sabotaged the ship, perhaps attempted to murder a Starfleet officer, if not to frame them for incompetence or sabotage, and then took his own life before he could be questioned.
Is that how you will report it to the Prime Lector?
Yes.
That's understandable.
This situation will not be made any easier by me obfuscating matters or, frankly, taking it upon myself for any further unilateral action. I have to have trust in this government, because if I do not, then I don't know what will cause change. And now it seems that there is a faction, if not the Orion Syndicate, attempting to undermine my people.
Yes. Which is troubling, considering our decision to work closely with the Cardassian government.
I believe that Starfleet has demonstrated its continued willingness to support and cooperate, certainly with the Prime Lector's vision, such as it is. And I suppose I'm only glad that it has happened, or at the very least that we have stumbled upon this conspiracy, this criminal enterprise. Now, when we have Starfleet to whom we can turn.
Well, you will have the Iskandar on your side, regardless of what the rest of Starfleet may say or do.
I suppose in that regard I do somewhat share your captain's discomfort with the idea that Iskandar will not be continuing to respond, deal with this crisis. But that I cannot change.
Talandra sort of stares at her paperwork for a bit. I do believe I have gotten into a frightful habit of carrying my work into my off-duty hours.
I do not know if the Vulcan mind structures things such, but I do find it very important to create sometimes even physical, not boundaries, but spaces. Obviously, one's quarters can be a useful place to work, but I think it is very important to keep it to a corner, a desk, and sometimes to step away.
Perhaps then I should consider taking some time outside of my quarters, perhaps for dinner.
I would be most curious on anything that you can recommend of, frankly, any Federation cuisine.
My taste in food has never been particularly varied beyond that of my homeland, but if you have a taste for what the humans would call vegetarian food.
I certainly have a taste for taking advantage of this situation to try other things.
Flameek it is. Oh, that reminds me. Having not wanting to impose too greatly on your time, I have read and reread The Deep City a number of times since you went away. And I feared that having started you off on a primer of the teachings of Surak, moving straight on to the Kashara would have been a little heavy, but given that I have had very little to read other than this since your incarceration, I think perhaps it is a fitting time to give you more in-depth philosophy, especially since we can discuss it in person now.
Yes, whilst I think it might be a challenging text, at present it will be much easier now for me to ask if I find any points challenging.
It was often thought that the fact that the analytics of Surak survived Vulcan's troubles was a great credit to our history. But I think it's very important, especially for Cardassia now, that the philosopher Karatek said the hope that Vulcan would survive was Surak's greatest achievement. The idea that our culture, whilst meaningful, is less important than our thriving and survival as a people.
I think these might be teachings which I could find enlightening.
I certainly hope so.
I haven't asked, you are quite well, I hope, after the battle.
Yes, why would I not be?
In all of the chaos, as well as the shuttle obviously was still flying, but in the destruction of the ship, of the raider, your vessel's full condition was somewhat unobservable for a time. I was not clear of what tolls the battle might have taken.
Kalev, you're concerned as you credit. However, I was a pilot in the war, and Starfleet shuttles are much hardier than they appear. I was quite well, although I believe Lieutenant Zal will not forgive me for such a close shave soon.
So you say I should not worry, and yet your own tactical officer by your side had some significant concerns. That feels as if I am justified in expressing concern. However, I am gratified to know that you had the matter quite in hand.
I believe my tactical officer often forgets that I am Vulcan, and therefore my risk was perfectly well calculated.
However, Commander Talandra, I know full well that you will make many calculations when it comes for the needs of the many.
Yes.
Mess hall. Leads on. They'll go and eat boring soup.
Superb.
Soup, you say?
Talandra likes plummeek.
Makes good, and they'll have you try. Oh, I make sensible I'm perfectly calculated it. You got perfectly calculated the time you charged a sniper rifle.
Yes. Because I could take a sniper rifle shot and you couldn't.
Yes. But you also got shot.
Huh? I got better. Dr. Burov was around.
Talandra's got better both times she's been shot in the head.
Also, Dr. Burov, who, since we've not heard from them all episode, I choose to believe that you left aboard the ship, and they're sat there like, they'll come and pick me up any moment now.
I'm about to be hate crimed.
Captain, are you coming back? Captain? Hello?
On that sad
Thanks
note.
for that timing, Kat.
Not sorry.
that's
Put
it.
that down.
That's the end of In the Midst of Chaos.
Whoop.
Whoop whoop.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. That was good fun. Even
Thanks,
if
Mike.
now
You blew
we
me up and
have
put me in prison
an evil Orion villain when like
with a gold eye patch.
which
Oh,
is
that's
like just hope
pretty
that
rad.
I hope that he doesn't suck as much as Osiris sucks because she sucks so fucking bad. She's such a bad villain. I hope I hope our Orion villain is way cooler than Disco Season 3's Orion villain.
It's all the Orion Syndicate was carried over from the Convoy mission. And indeed, if we ever need to plumb the Expanse again, there's going to be plenty more coming out around the Shackleton Expanse.
I thought that was patrons only, Mike.
The Hackett Expanse.
Hackett Expanse. I was delighted that you got the Bellerophon reference. I just that's the twist. I was sitting on that twist of the night right through this, and ultimately the Iskandar wouldn't be the ship attached to this, because if nothing else, I don't want to. Whoever runs next, I don't want to be like, now you must do Shackleton stuff. But yes.
Fine, I'll do
Bellerophon.
Shackleton stuff.
I'm the kind of nerd who knows what classes even one-off ships are, because it was Admiral Ross's ship in that Deep Space Nine episode where they go to Romulus and Section 31 shows up.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, douchebags. We could do it, but our stupid engineer. Apparently, like since Vance left, now my next character has to forcibly adopt Strange. He's like, oh no, my people broke your brain once? Is this our fault? Is this my fault?
So yeah, thank you everybody. Isbiz, do you have a Patreon list? No, that's fine.
I do. No.
We will
love
for
you.
next time.
We love all of
We
you
love
anyway.
you.
Love the patrons muchly, but
We
I'm
love
All patrons except
I'm
Mike Kilburn.
very poorly.
We
Kilburb.
understand.
Kill Burb.
All of the
Kilburn.
Mikes that are on our patrons, we love you.
Except for Mycicle.
What?
Just not Mycicle.
So yeah, without further ado, in that case, thank you all very much for joining us. We
Isk
will.
again. When do we isk again?
Let's have a week off, because if nothing else, no one's throwing the hat in the ring for running next.
Yes, I
And-
have.
Yeah, Roomba did.
Oh,
Yeah.
fucking Christ. Roomba, do you want to run next week or the week after?
What's next week?
28th?
Do you guys want a week off? Do you want to
Yeah.
go straight into it? I'm good either way.
I think a week off works for me.
Cool.
Want a
Then
week off?
week off, back
Week
on
off?
the 5th.
And we'll be back on the 5th of October with
Remember,
Hysteresis.
The 5th of October. What?
With what? Hysteresis?
Yeah, this shit's got a title and everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is planned.
Hysteresis.
Like Mike seems to have forgotten our entire
Mike,
conversation.
The reason why I asked last week if we had our game sorted out was so that you could get your usual like splash screen set up, but you've just not.
But you totally forgot to do like that's
Oh
all.
no, science!
Yeah, you fuckers are gonna have to do science. Have you just googled what that
Yeah.
word is?
Cool. Well,
think
join
it's
us on the
a
5th of October for part 1 of Hysteresis, run by Emily Bloody Room. Until then, thank you all
Pop,
very
pop.
much. Pop, pop, pop. Bye.